Hello, fellow humans. Welcome to another wonderfully spooky episode. Today, I have a real treat for you. We're going to cover 3 real-life encounters from the subreddit ScaryStories that will chill you to the bone. Before we begin though, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Don't forget to leave me a thumbs up and comment if you like seeing content like this. Alright fam, let's not waste any more time. I am the Reddit Rebel. Let's jump down this rabbit hole together. This one comes to us from Shy Girl Turned Sassy, my brother's imaginary friend. I was 10 or 11 years old when this started. My brother was 4 or 5. Like most kids, Kyle too had an imaginary friend. And like most kids with imaginary friends, Kyle had given his a name with distinctive physical features. If I remember correctly, the friend's name was Bosco. Bosco was short, pudgy, and had a gray beard. My parents thought it was a bit strange that Kyle's imaginary friend would be an adult man, but they didn't dwell on it too much. Bosco quickly became a part of our daily routine. While getting ready for school, Kyle would insist that I needed to stop hogging the mirror as Bosco had to fix his hair and beard. At breakfast and lunch and dinner, the chair next to Kyle was to be left unoccupied because that was where Bosco would sit. My parents were just grateful he didn't ask for an extra platter to be prepared, as Bosco did not eat. He just wanted to sit there and keep Kyle company. Bosco would make his presence felt at school too. Kyle's teacher once told my mom how impressed she was with Kyle's quickly expanding vocabulary. He was learning new words, and when asked, he would say his friend Bosco had said to say them. I remember this one instance when a new family moved into our neighborhood. Their kid was Kyle's age. My mom took us over to say hello to them. I remember Kyle shook the other kid's hand and said rather clearly, "I am very pleased to make your acquaintance." The other kid just stared. My mom struggled not to look smug. My dad wasn't all that interested in Kyle's friend, or in anything else his kids did for that matter, so it was mostly my mom and I who got to hear about how nice and fantabulous Bosco was. Then came the incident that made us rethink just how imaginary Bosco really was. One day, Kyle and I were waiting at the bus stop just outside of school for our mom to pick us up. This place always had a lot of parents and kids around, so it was safe. Suddenly, Kyle began pulling on my arm, telling me he wanted to go to the store across the street and get a candy bar. I told him we could get one when Mom got there, but he just wouldn't listen. He pulled on my arm almost frantically and kept saying he needed a candy bar now. I gave in and walked with him to the store, all while telling him if our mom got mad at us, it would be his fault. The moment we had crossed the street, the driver of a bus lost control of the vehicle and mowed down a bunch of people at the bus stop. It was like a scene from a movie. I was in a state of shock while Kyle started crying. When my mom got there, she hugged us for what seemed like an eternity. She knew we could have been among the people who were crushed. Once we had gotten home and calmed down, she asked me why we had crossed the street. I told her about Kyle wanting a candy bar. She questioned Kyle, who told her he didn't really want a candy bar. Bosco did. And he's the one who told Kyle to get me to go to the store with him. My mom turned pale. For some time after that, life went on as usual. Mom now asked Kyle about Bosco quite regularly, but he didn't say anything out of the ordinary, just regular kid stuff. But another surprise for us was right around the corner. My mom's sister, our Aunt Rita, had just moved into town. She had landed a job at the same company where Dad worked, and I remember that she and my dad got along very well. One weekend, my mom took us to see our maternal grandparents. Dad said he couldn't come as he had work. Mom seemed disappointed, but agreed to take us without him. Nana and Papa too were impressed at how articulate Kyle was becoming, and listened with great interest about his new friend Bosco. The next afternoon, we were all sitting in the living room. I was playing with my grandparents' dog. Mom and her parents were talking, while Kyle was fiddling with the TV remote. He switched to a channel where the movie Ghost was playing. The famous pottery scene, you know which one was on. Mom instantly grabbed the remote and changed the channel to Cartoon Network. Kyle was upset. He demanded to know why he couldn't watch the movie. Mom explained to him that he could watch it when he was older, and that it wasn't appropriate for kids to watch grown-ups hug each other like that. Kyle argued some more, and Mom again told him he wasn't old enough. He pouted and in sheer exasperation asked why it was okay for Dad and Aunt Rita to hug like that in his bed. Mom was taken aback and asked what he was talking about. Kyle told her that Dad and Aunt Rita would often get naked and hug in his bed, just like in the movie, when we were at school and when Mom was at work. Once or twice a week, Dad would come home for a while and he and Aunt Rita would hug in Kyle's bed, and then get dressed and leave. Mom was outraged and asked why he was making up such a disgusting story. Kyle insisted that he didn't make it up. Bosco had told him. Bosco also said that Aunt Rita was hugging Dad right then, even as they spoke. Mom's gaze turned cold. She told our grandparents she was going home. She drove back to our house in a hurry. I deduced that Aunt Rita really was there because Mom came back later that night with more of our stuff and said that we'd be staying with Nana and Papa for a while. My parents were divorced by the end of that year. This story makes me wonder what Bosco really was. Maybe he was a ghost or a guardian angel of some kind. For sure, though, he seemed to have good intentions, protecting the OP from that bus, and even going so far as to seemingly wait to reveal the affair until everyone was out of the house. I may be looking too deep into that, but tell me what you think in the comments. This one wasn't originally posted on Reddit, but it was shared to us by Kingdom of Ur. Have you ever met a serial killer? I saw this on Quora by Lisa Perry, and I felt like it belonged here. Ted Bundy. I was 17 and living in Seattle in 1974, and my boyfriend and I went to Lake Sammamish on one of the first beautiful days of the season. I was sunbathing on a towel near the building that housed the restrooms. My boyfriend, not a fan of just laying in the sun, was 50 yards away or so, leaning on his parked car, chatting up some other guys. I noticed a man kept walking by me to use the drinking fountain. Each time he passed, he would stare a bit. I thought he was attractive enough, but in a real dweeb kind of way. Finally, he approached me, and we started a conversation. He asked me if I wanted to go out in his canoe. I said no, probably not, that I was here with my boyfriend. He then asked if I would help him launch it into the water, that it was tucked behind some trees across the parking lot. I said that I was completely not strong enough to help him with a canoe, but that my boyfriend could surely lend a hand. I got up and started walking towards where my boyfriend was leaning against the car. Bundy followed me. At just about the same time that he said, No, you can do it," I called out to my boyfriend and said, "Hey, this guy wants some help with his canoe." My boyfriend immediately felt the chill, and he told Bundy, in the rudest way I had ever heard him speak to anyone, which he has said had to do with his primal revulsion to the guy, to get the hell away from her and from us. Bundy said directly to me, and this is the iciest piece that stays with me the most: "This is your lucky day." Of course, I didn't understand that for a long time. That day, he murdered 2 women that he picked up at the lake. 2. Both resembled me in stature, the way they wore their hair, etc. Thank you, OP, for finding and sharing this story. Not many people can say they have walked away from someone as dangerous as Ted Bundy. Her quick thinking to call out to her boyfriend really saved her in this case. Some people can just feel when there is something off about another person, and luckily the boyfriend's gut feeling helped to stop that young woman from being yet another victim. What do you think you would have done in this situation? This one was posted by Blondie Trucker 97. I've been a truck driver for a few months. I've seen some weird things. When I first took this job to be an over-the-road trucker, I thought it would be really exciting. I thought I'd get to travel the country and see the sights and come home with stories to tell my friends and family. I was right. This job is exciting. But I soon found that I'm better off not sharing these stories with anyone close to me. Not because I don't trust them, but because I'm worried they wouldn't believe me. Let me back up. My name is Brittany. I'm 22 years old, and I've been driving with a rather large company for a few months now that I won't name due to obvious reasons. Ever since my training ended and I got my own truck to start solo, I've seen some pretty weird shit. When you're driving the loneliest road in America, yes, that's its real name, in the middle of nowhere, Nevada, things can start to get to you. I suppose it was only a matter of time before I saw something out in the desert at nearly midnight. I still had another hour to the nearest truck stop, and blasting the freezing cold air against my face was all I could do to keep myself from dozing off at the wheel. Irresponsible, I know, but until you work this job, you don't understand how much lax comes with it. I was driving this highway, in the desert, in the pitch blackness of a cold summer night, when suddenly something runs out in the road in front of me. Before I can even react, it's gone across the other side into the bushes. I barely got a good look at it, but I could have sworn it looked like a large white dog, faster than any dog I've ever seen. I tried to just ignore it and keep driving. I see animals crossing the road at night all the time. It didn't seem like anything to get worked up about. Not even a minute later, I feel my truck lurch to the left and into the other lane. I quickly try to swerve and correct it, and easily step on the brakes so I don't wreck. It can be easy to jackknife an 80,000-pound metal death machine. I slow it down and regain control. I look for the nearest pullover spot so I can see what the hell just hit my rig, and see if there's any damage. Once I find a spot and turn off, hit my brakes and hop out, I walk around to the other side and see a large dent in the side of my trailer. What the fuck? I say to myself as I walk over to inspect the side of the trailer. It's a huge dent, at least 5 feet wide and tall. No real shape to it, just a general dent. I can't imagine what could have hit me. My first thought was maybe a boulder rolled down from the side of the hill and smashed into me, but I didn't think I was driving next to any hills or mountains. As far as I knew, it was flat desert. I hear the sound of dirt crunching under footfall behind me, and I turn around. My breath catches in my throat, and my stomach drops as I see something standing not 50 feet away from me. It's large, menacing, and white. I can't even find the words to describe what this thing looked like. It looked like a very large dog, and that's a stretch. It stood on 2 short, stout legs with long forearms reaching down past its knees. Its shoulders were broad and heaving, as if it had just ran a marathon. Its head was mostly shaped like a wolf, with a large snout filled with razor-sharp teeth bared in a snarl, saliva dripping from its maw. Its jet-black eyes bore right through me, filled with hatred and hunger. I couldn't move. I was frozen in place. This creature stood between me and my only salvation, my truck. We stared at one another for a moment until I broke the silence. "You are one ugly motherfucker," I said. It snarled at me. Then, very unexpectedly, it turned and walked away slowly, using all 4 of its limbs, receding into the bushes and into the night. I stood there for what felt like several minutes, wondering if it would jump out and feed on my flesh at any moment. It never came back. I ran around the front of my truck and jumped inside, locking the door quickly and flooring it, as fast as you can floor an 18-wheeler, which is not at all. Soon I was back on the highway and barreling down it as if my life depended on it. For a while, it felt like it did. Within a half hour, I found myself at the truck stop and shut down for the night. Sleep was difficult that night. I was certain every noise I heard was that damn creature returning. Luckily, the night went on without another incident. I have more stories to tell, but this is getting long, so I think I'll stop here. Remember, guys, be careful out there on the road. You never know what else is out there with you. Be. So, I actually read through quite a few of the comments on this one for my own curiosity's sake. And the general theory seems to be that this was yet another skinwalker encounter. If you remember, in our last episode we covered a few friends who had a close call with a skinwalker. Honestly though, I don't know enough to say what it was. But either way, she was very lucky. That thing was obviously capable of inflicting serious damage. What do you guys think it was? Well, that's my time. Thanks so much for watching. If you made it all the way through, make sure to leave a thumbs up. And if you want to see more awesome videos like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you'll know every time I release a new video. Thanks again for tuning in. This is the Reddit Rebel, signing off.